Hey guys, welcome back. Have we got some cool stuff to talk about today? This is a George Muller knives um loaned in by my buddy Chris in South Africa, and it comes in this wooden display box that is nothing short of kind of amazing, honestly. I'm blown away by just the packaging. Now, I've mentioned before when we're spending a lot of money on a knife, and I don't know what this one costs, um, but they're from South Africa, so they're super affordable. I believe this one was in that $1,400-$1,500 range, which is a freaking steal. Okay, but over the years, I've bought $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 knives, and when you're spending that kind of money, you hope it doesn't just come wrapped up in some bubble wrap and here you go. Yes, the knife is the most important thing, but the presentation is also nice. When you buy a fancy watch, a Rolex or Omega, it comes in a nice presentation box and you open it up and you're like, oh, that's how a knife should be. So now that I've rambled on about this, let's open this one up. I think I said this was sent in by my buddy Chris in Texas. So you've got the presentation box. He put in some paperwork of where he bought it and some of that sort of stuff. And we'll talk about, your certificate of authenticity, where he talks about a little bit more stuff, which I'm going to put to the side because I may read some of that. His information, you could pause that and you could reach out to him. Some more information about the knife itself. And we're just going to try to close this up real quick and put it out of the way. But look at this box on the inside. What did it take to make all of these cuts so that you could form this one piece of wood into closing like that? No screws, no nothing. It's just kind of dovetailed together, if you will. I guess is maybe the right word. I'm not a woodworker, but a little tough to get that lined up around the camera. But we'll just set that off to the side because I think that's just part of the whole package. And then it comes in just a standard, zippered pouch, which I'm okay with that. And then boom, you get something that is that wow factor. Crazy wow factor. And I'll go through some of the specs, but let's this one we're going to do a little different. Let's just zoom in and take a look at some of this stuff. And I'll talk about the specs here kind of just throughout. So it'll be a little bit different format. So you have meteorite bolsters. Okay, and this came from the Gibeon meteorite, which landed in Great Namakwaland, Nambia, Africa. Okay, and you have that on both sides. And they carbon dated that to over 4 billion years ago. Now, we're not going to get into your beliefs on how old the world is and all of that stuff. Whether you believe in the carbon dating and dinosaurs, that's not the point of this, okay? This is where this is at. And there's a whole bunch of information about how the meteorite lands. This one was spread across 70 miles wide by 230 miles long. Is where it crashed into Africa. And it, there's some other information here that Chris gave me that talks about, took 1,000 years for it to cool off and all of that stuff. So meteorite is very cool. It looks textured, but it's smooth. Okay? Then you go to the scales. Woolly mammoth ivory. What? Woolly mammoth ivory. I'm really blown away by this one, guys. as with all of the ones that Chris just sent me in from South Africa. The fit and finish here, you cannot feel a seam between the meteorite and the woolly mammoth. Now he does dovetail it, you can see, which helps eliminate that seam some. But wow. You've got a Damasteel pocket clip, which works fairly well. It's a little bit tight to get into the pocket because there's not really a good ramp to get into the pocket, but it comes out of the pocket perfectly. Okay. You've seen also a glimpse at the Damascus backspacers. Kind of a split backspacer, which is kind of cool. Titanium anodized liners with hand file work. Because this is in South Africa, guys. This is all done by hand. George sat there with a file and made all of these by hand. And they're pretty symmetrical. If you look at that across the board there, there's some variance, but it's done by hand. And then you deploy this blade that's running on ceramic IKBS bearings. This is a twist pattern, what do they call it here? Twist pattern Damasteel. Well, it's a twist pattern Damascus done by Damasteel in Sweden. I mean, just look at that. I love the grind. Now you can feel a little bit of the texture from the twist pattern, which I think is very cool. You can see it through the top of the spine of the blade, the backside. So it's sterile blade. They didn't put in company logos and blade steels and all that branding stuff. There's none of that here. There is, of course, it tells me, I didn't look yet, he's signed inside the backspacer. There you go. And look at that. Now that is a true hand-done signature inside the backspacer. This is not some machine engraved, name inside of the knife. That's just him with, I don't know what kind of a tool. Dremel, I don't know. But that's just a guy hand engraving his name inside of the knife that he made. Engine turned on the inside of the titanium liners, which I love. That's a detail that is just over the top for me because you don't see that every day. Because nobody's going to look inside. You're not going to be looking inside. So do you need to go to that level of detail? No, not really. But they do. And there are American makers that do that too. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say this is exclusive to South Africa, this engine turning or doing nice, milling and engraving on the inside. That's a universal thing. But for the price, $1,400, this is a level of detail that you would not get in the United States at these prices with this material. I'm not even going to guess what this would be in the United States. So let's go through some of the measurements just because people are interested maybe, and I'm going to kind of glance at the sheets here if there's any other information from the maker that needs to be said, because I didn't really look at all of this stuff here. Well, I'll just show it. This is the name of it. Give you a meteorite, lifetime guarantee, ceramic IKBS bearings, green and brown mandatory, jeweled inside. The jeweled inside, or that's the engine turning. talks about the colors that he got and how he got the colors, which is very cool. And then here's some more stuff too. Rather than just read it all, you guys can pause this and read all of the stuff that the maker tells us. Talks about how he hardens and quenches the blades and all of that. I mean, that's just... I'm just blown away. So the close length, and you can see how smooth and drop shutty it is. Here's the action. Effortless. It feels great in the hand. There's no hot spots. This is not a hard use knife. You can easily choke up because, well, there's not necessarily a finger choil. You just have this ramp on the flipper tab before the blade is sharpened. I mean, that's an excellent way to do it. So, some dimensions. 4 3/4 inches closed. 8 3/8 overall. 3.6 inch blade. Blade steel we talked about. It's 0.148 thick. Overall is 0.597 minus the clip. And it weighs at 6.1 ounces. It's a little heavier. I mean, a lot of people might think that's heavy to carry, but I don't think so. I carry this thing all the time. I just am blown away. And I'm blown away at Chris for just sending this in, along with several others. That's the thing. You know, I'm super appreciative when people loan things in, for sure. And that you take the time and effort to package them up, spend the money to ship it in and insure it and all that stuff, and then worry about it while it's in transit. Because I know. Because he sent me 5 or 6 knives. And they're all, you know, they're not like 5 or 6 gas station knives. These are 5 or 6 handmade, one-of-a-kind customs that he would probably have trouble replacing if it were lost. So thank you, Chris, for sending this in. And thank you for your great information. He puts together a spreadsheet. There's a tab for every knife that he owns. I talked to him after I looked at it. I was like, did you do that just for me? He says, no, I do that for every knife I buy after I get it so I can remember what I bought. And I have all the, you know, pertinent information. I said, dude, that's awesome. I keep a spreadsheet too. It's a little different. I think that's going to be another video on collecting and budgeting and all of that. But I am just really blown away at the quality and craftsmanship that comes out of South Africa. This is just effortlessly to deploy, and it just looks amazing and feels great in the hand, as do all of the ones Chris sent in. So stay tuned, please. Down below, I'm going to put a link to my South African playlist that I put together. It'll have the unboxing of this knife, plus all of the other ones that Chris sent in, plus a couple of other South African knives that I've done on the channel before. Not a lot yet, but over the next week or two, I've got 5 or 6 of these to do from Chris, so you'll see these come out. But please check in the playlist, and make sure you're subscribed, guys. That way you don't miss anything. And it helps out the channel, and it makes me feel good, and you know, all that good stuff. So this video ran a little bit long for any of you new folks. You know, normally I try to keep them in that 6 to 12 minute range, you know, 7 to 10, 7 to 12. There was just so much to talk about here, and I'm just so excited about it. And the box, you know, that took a few minutes all on its own because, well, come on. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate your time and your support. So have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.